DJing is not hard at all. I just watched Cirque du Soleil last night.
Hey, I was at this thing that you couldn't be at because it happened 5 hours ago and it's never going to happen again.
They're having a lot of online interactions. I think they're staying home. They're just not going out like they used to. I think they're gaming, Twitch, TikTok Live.
They're 20-year-old kids, right? And they're doing their most successful parties at the 2000s party. You can't be scared of failure.
I can tell you right now, there's not a chance in hell I would have ever been able to DJ that party if I was still like the send nudes guy.
Big difference between just somebody that's good in a studio and somebody that's just good overall.
Late night legends. Late night legends. Direct from Vegas. The world famous Club Killers crew.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Late Night Legends. And I'm DJ DeVille, and we got a special guest in the building. Strategy is in the house. Welcome, Strategy.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
man.
for having me. Let's go, champ. I'm excited.
Yeah, man, you're a pod host too, so it's great to have you on here because you obviously are really in the space now. You're heavily established, and I really appreciate that. So we obviously look up to you. We got Alex Dreams in the building. We got Kellen. We're hanging out.
What up?
And we're excited to talk to you. And you're from Chicago, right?
From Chicago, yep.
Are you still playing Kanye records at this point?
I do still play Kanye records.
Yeah.
And I'm Jewish, so if you guys have any questions about the Sabbath, let me know.
Yeah,
But
it's complicated right now. I'm trying to figure out what Kanye's doing, but obviously, we miss the old Kanye. But it's you were actually just traveling a lot, right? You were bouncing back and forth. You were in Texas. So explain that whole thing. Like, what did you do over the last couple of years? 'Cause it's hard to keep track of.
Yeah, so I left Chicago in 2020 during the pandemic when everything was shut down. Had the opportunity to go to Houston and do Bottled Blonde. They were opening in the middle of the pandemic. They opened October 2020, which was kind of crazy.
Texas shit.
Some real Texas shit, and I was
Yeah.
like, I like that.
Let's go.
That. I'll risk my life to go DJ because I love it,
Yeah.
So I went out there. Me and Dolo went out there. And I ended up staying for 3 years. I would continuously go back to Chicago and check the scene out. COVID wrecked that city, like bad. It never, every time I went back, I was like, it's not right. It's not time.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's just a shell of what it used to be. And it did get to a point after 3 years in Houston where I was like, all right, I definitely can't handle this anymore. I miss my friends. I miss my family. My brother was about to have a baby. And I was just burnt out. I was at rock bottom for sure.
How long did it take to get there?
3 years.
3 years.
For
Good
sure.
run.
And I was just chasing the money. That was it. Like the only thing keeping me in Houston was the money. The money was great. It was there. I was working 6 nights a week. And eventually I was like, all right, there's no amount of money that can really make me want to stay here. So I headed back home October of 2023. Did 3 full years to the month. And dipped out. Now I'm back there, and I spent January in Arizona. I tried to escape the winter and dip my toes in the snowbird life a little bit and pretend
What
I
was the opportunity
rich.
that brought you out there?
From Bottled Blonde, I made a lot of connections with Arizona people because it's an Arizona company. They came out to Chicago.
EEG. Shout out
EEG, yeah. All the guys that came out there, Justin Massey and Eric Ferrone, and Chase has ties to Arizona as well. Tito, Cramp, all my boys. They have now started opening their own spots. They were managing Bottle, this super successful venue, and then they've grown into having their own places now. So I just talked to a couple people, and I was like, hey, if I came out for a month, would I be able to get some work with you? And they were like, yeah, for sure. So I just kind of, I didn't have anything really scheduled. I didn't have any dates in the books. I was just like, all right, I'll trust you. And I went out there and I was able to work. I did like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday every week. It was awesome.
That's amazing. And so obviously you bouncing around, you're starting to see how different cities have similarities and there's also glaring differences, right? And, it's cool that you're working for the same company, but, they're reflecting differently in each city as well as a company. So you have to reflect differently as a DJ, right? So what are you seeing like as far as the adaptations that a company has to go through? Are you using that kind of like as your guide? Because are they doing the exact same cut and paste formula in each city with their business? And then like how do you adapt to that as a DJ? Like what does that look like?
So like when I went to Arizona, I did work for EEG one time. I worked at Casa Amigos on a Sunday. But outside of that, it was for different companies that, these guys broke off from that company and started their own thing. So I was bouncing around doing a little bit of everything. And from what I've seen there, and even in Houston and Chicago as well, like all the places that are doing what they've been doing for the last 5+ years are the ones that are struggling. The people that are coming up with new fun concepts and changing the music and not just supplying somebody who's spending $1,500 on a table with what they're looking for, and actually caring for the room and the venue and having intent and passion for what they're doing. Like those are the people that are successful and leading the charge right now.
Well, because one thing I've noticed is like VIGA. Have you been seeing this? It's starting to be a trend in certain markets where this is actually happening at Live here in Las Vegas, where you can pay to be in the DJ booth at a higher price point. Do you think that's something that's viable, or do you think that's cross-compatible outside of Las Vegas? Because I feel like it is. Because think about it, like if you're an influencer or if you're just somebody that wants to be cool and be in the booth, because there's that narcissism that kicks in. You're like, I want to be where it's cool, and you take your selfies and whatever, and you can pay to do it. You don't have to know somebody, you can just pay to do it. I think it just simplified the process of being in a DJ booth. I mean, do you think that's something that might work, or something you would even get down with or want to be around? Because I'm not sure myself, because I'm like, it's cool as long as there's partitions and there's railings, and I got long arms, so I got to be able to fit in. I mean, is that something you think you could get down with or be interested in dealing with? It's interesting how it's developing.
It is 50-50, and it also depends how drunk I am. Right. And it's like, well, okay, let me ask some questions first. Is this so? They've always sold tables. Well, not everybody, but a lot of places have sold tables in the DJ booth. Is this not a table? This is just like you can pay
literally
for
hang
one
out,
just
like
yourself to be there.
Yeah. So imagine
It's
like
like a
50
ticketed-
people that paid $500 to get in the DJ booth to hang out with you.
And
That's
they don't know
literally what's
each
going
other.
on.
Like, see, that just seems like chaos, like
Yeah.
uncontrolled chaos. Like a table is all people that know each other and are partying with each other, and that could be a lot of fun. You got fun people in the booth. You're part of their party now. It's a good time. Everyone's winning. That just sounds insane to sell like spots to random people and just fill it up, and it sounds like a money grab.
Well, it sounds like the boiler room influence
Era.
is starting to really bleed into the construction of how a club is designed. I mean, because it used to be way up high,
Right.
then it was down low in the crowd, but now it's in the middle of the crowd. And it just depends on how a venue manages it,
I think it's gonna work. Work just because, especially at Live, they have John Summit, Dom Dalla, and those are the people that love them. There's that youth, that high energy that they want that, and especially just because they want to take a picture.
Yeah.
They want to take that video, they
Yeah.
want to post it on the ground, like, yo, John Summit.
And it's like you can fit more people back there if you remove the tables. So you can sell more of those GA tickets and make a little extra
How much are
money
those
on those
tickets?
people. They're like $400, I think, to get
Yeah,
behind the DJ booth.
some of the VIG,
So you
it's like
have-
very important GA.
Yeah. So you have
'Cause
regular
there's
GA.
no table service. You still got to
That's
go.
amazing.
Yeah. But think about it too. It's free advertising.
Yeah.
They're literally promoting you.
Yeah, it's true.
Like single-handedly, every individual that's excited to be up there because now they feel like they're privileged to be up on stage. They're going to promote the hell out of that.
Yeah.
So it's just like when you go to a steakhouse and they put the tomahawk steak on a hanger. It's still the steak. It's just on a hanger, and but they light it on
Light
fire.
fire.
Yeah,
But
what
you're going to take a video of it because it's hanging and it's on fire instead of it just sitting on a plate, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same concept. The gimmick factor all of a sudden turns into extremely valuable marketing. So I'll be very excited to see how this transpires over the next 4 to 5 years, if it lasts that long.
Yeah, I think it's called anchoring too, right? You make you have a price point that's so high that everybody then they look at the regular GA, they're like, oh well, that's not that bad. Like $150 doesn't sound as bad when
Yeah.
you're looking at a $400 ticket for behind the DJ booth. So maybe
Yes.
it's like an anchoring technique that they're using.
And I think that there is going to be some trend setting happening here in Vegas because the stakes are so high out here to fill these clubs and to stay fresh. And if you're from the Midwest and you have the same club open for 20 years, you can get away with that because you have loyalists and you have people that are always going to come see you. I'm sure that happens a lot in Chicago. You got a lot. That's a big hometown.
Yeah.
Right? You got a lot of people that live there. They've lived there their whole life, and they're always going to go out and party, even when they're 60 years old, because they've been going to that same place forever.
It's actually shocking how many people you're like, you're still doing this, huh?
Yeah. But you have that bedrock as a business. You don't have that here. You have to innovate. You have to invest in and take some risks once in a while, despite how. Sometimes it seems like Vegas gets stuck in its ways a little bit. There always is somebody that changes the curve, changes the mood, and then all of a sudden people want to follow that because if something works, they strike oil, boom, everybody starts doing it, right?
Yeah.
So it takes one brave person to change the entire temperature of a nightlife scene in Las Vegas.
So who's leading that charge right now? Who's like really making that happen?
Well, it's interesting because I feel like Live has been taking some risks because they just remodeled, or they're in the process of remodeling. I'm not sure exactly, but they actually broke down.
I think it's ready. Yeah.
Yeah, they broke down their wall so that you can go in between the pool and the nightclub, which isn't innovative. Everybody's been doing
That's like the access thing where the
yes,
booths
like
like
split back and forth. See,
Okay.
exactly. It's a popular concept, but then reconstructing how people approach the DJ is what's innovative. So, looking at what Marquis always been trying to do things like they did the tent. They innovated with the outdoor tent.
The dome.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was a big innovation at the time, especially because that was a big investment. It's $1 million dome.
And I think they signed it for
6
3
months.
years. Yeah.
Yeah.
3-year contract to do it 3 years in a row too. So it's
it's a big deal for that to happen. But that's an investment in making sure that people keep using your pool even when it's freezing cold out here in Vegas. They're the only ones that are willing to do that and take that risk. So it's cool to see because there's a lot bigger budgets out here to try those things, but then they got to commit to it for a while as well.
Right.
So I'm gonna wonder because there's Pinky Ring as well. Pinky Ring
I
is
love
leading
Pinky
the
Ring.
I
charge.
need to go there.
It's so cool.
It's my favorite
cool.
venue in Las Vegas, man. I love it, and I think it's the future. The live music element is just so good.
Yeah. So how are they doing the DJ live music like together? Are they
They just scatter them pretty much. It's like they do their sets.
Okay.
I know G Square DJ's there. He'll play like 30 minutes, or I don't know the exact time frame, but then they have their cover band, which is so good.
yeah.
I've seen Oma is there
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Those guys
Yeah.
are the shit.
Yeah, no, they have, and then Bruno will come out, Lady Gaga will come out.
Yeah.
Just
And they do covers.
I think-
it's wild. It's a small room, man. It's tiny. How many people do you think fit in there?
Kellen would know,
I don't know,
200,
400 maybe at a max.
but that's packed, jam
yeah,
packed,
at a
jam
max.
packed.
Yeah, but it's comfortable even when there's 50 people. Like it still feels
Yeah,
good.
it's great.
It's tough to get into.
There's a
When
line
it's
on
packed,
Thursday.
yeah.
It can be, yeah.
It can be, yeah.
Depends, but it's open for like a lot longer than the other clubs because it opens at like 6 and then
Yeah.
it goes to like 1 or 2 in the morning, maybe even later.
Yep.
So you have a bigger time frame to go check it out.
It's kind of a time capsule club because it feels like you're almost in the Sinatra era, but cooler. Like it's just taken to another level because of the funk and all
Yep.
the vibes that they put out there because they're doing soul funk. I don't know, it's
they're
like cool
playing
disco.
live mashups pretty
Yeah.
much. Live mashups and like the drummers doing comedy.
Yep.
And blending into the bass guitar will start playing a different track, and it's just so dope.
Yeah.
Sick.
Especially as a DJ, like
Yeah.
you appreciate it, and then just the ladies love it because it's fun, and it's not a club like we keep talking about club culture and nightlife and the mega clubs, how they're just on the way down.
I think a big thing for Pinky Ring that like a lot of people don't realize is that they don't allow you to have your phone. So you have to be active or engaged with either the DJ or the artist performing because you can't just take out your phone, take videos. People are actually dancing, they're engaging with each other. So I think that's like a big reason why they might be succeeding is people go to like have actual interactions or actually like enjoy and dance.
Yeah.
And
This excites me so much more than the innovation of selling tickets into the DJ booth at a club. I like this, like take people's phones away, make it more exclusive, make it smaller, play cool music. That's exciting to me.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I think it's
I
going
hope-
to keep happening.
I hope
honestly.
that's what really starts to take off.
And the dinner parties, like you look at Tulum, Miami, Mykonos, it's all about the dinner vibe turning into a party.
So it's like the come as you are kind of situation. Like, what are you seeing in Chicago? I mean, because we're here in Las Vegas. Like,
Yeah,
there's
you-
obviously trends happening in Chicago, right? Like, what are you seeing?
Yeah, it's the same thing. The mega clubs are struggling for sure. Obviously, Tao is doing well. They're supported, huge company. They also have an amazing restaurant that helps. So they're definitely still thriving, but every other big club is...
What are the big clubs? Is Prism still open? Or?
Prism's still open. Prism's definitely doing their thing. I think they're just doing acts. Really, at this point, it's like an event space more than anything.
Right.
I think, and they have Radius, which is also a huge event space, huge theater. As far as like clubs, like
How about venue? You said there's a couple of venues that are doing it right. What are they doing and who are they?
Goodnight John Boy is definitely
Yeah, they're killing it everywhere. It's fun,
crushing,
right?
crushing.
I just played at the St. Pete one.
How was it?
They're dialed in, man. They're
I
dialed
heard that
in.
I heard the St. Pete one is like disco, like
Super-
you can't
yeah,
even
pure
really
disco.
play
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus
Correct.
party
Yeah.
in the USA.
Yeah,
Like,
and then
it's-
the owners were there when I was there, and I kept it by the book, and they were happy the whole way. So that's like I was following the script, and the script worked.
Good.
But it's I actually there's 3 sets, right? You have to do the 3 to 7, then there's the 7 to 10, and then the 10 to close. I prefer the middle one, and I got lucky on this last one because it was more of like a daytime. There was like
Day
a
drinking?
day drinking event on a Saturday, and it was completely packed when I walked in at 6:30, 6:45. It was insane. I couldn't believe it, and they just keep making money. And then when I got done, DJ Obscene jumped on after me, and I'm like, he goes till 3 in the morning. That's the hardest set is the late set, because you do have to break the rules a little bit just to fill your set list up. Because think about it, was it 10:30 to 2:30 is 4 hours, and there's really only, in my opinion, about 2 good hours of disco music that people respond to. Otherwise, you start going into funk and other subgenres of 70s, and they just want to hear Dancing Queen and Casey and the Sunshine Band and over again. You can literally rinse and repeat 90 minutes of music, and they don't really notice. But as they get drunker later in the night, they want to start hearing John Summit. They want to start hearing like hip hop of all kinds, and you can't do that. You have to stay in some sort of pop, like Dua Lipa, Lady Gaga. You can get away with that stuff, but you got to go jump right back into the classics too. So it is really hard work. So I prefer the middle set because you can just stay pure. And speaking of that too, there's another disco club that opened here too. Was it called Diner Ross?
Oh yeah, the disco show's so good.
Yeah, so
the
you go
Spin
in.
World, they do Absinthe at Caesar's Palace, and they have the Atomic Saloon, and the disco show's so good. If you're looking for a place to take your girl, it's so much fun.
Yeah, it feels like you're in a 70s nightclub, but it's completely coordinated. It's choreographed, but you're in it. So you're actually surrounded by the show as opposed to just watching it. So that's another trend I think that's going to continue to evolve. And I heard a rumor that there's a new disco club opening up at Bellagio.
Studio 54.
Yeah, there's talks about it, but I heard. Well, I don't know if I can give any details away, but I heard there's things holding it up right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to name any names.
But I've heard of. I've heard things that are like
Name them.
open, but
Name them.
They're waiting on some celebrities who are supposed to be involved in it.
Oh, that's
to,
cool. See, that's a
to
Vegas
pull their
power.
part. You know what I mean?
Disco's hot right now.
Yeah.
And I like it. I'm actually working with White Shadow and DJ Heavy on like a cool disco thing. Also in Chicago, Celeste is an awesome spot that's got 3 floors. One of their floors is disco, light up dance floor, everything. And they've had it for 10 plus years. And now it's just coming back to where it's like, holy shit, we've had this thing this whole time, and it's always been cool, but now it's like rocking.
Yeah, because it fits.
The nostalgia, the ultra nostalgia. People love the nostalgia right now.
Well, because here's my question though. Like, look at what's going on with like the Xanax hip hop from like 10 years ago, right? Like the Trippie Reds. What's going to happen to those fans of that music? They're not going to have anything to fall back on when they're in that classic age. When they want, are they going to really turn on Trippie Red when they're 60 years old and reminisce on the good old days? There's going to be a Trippie Red club? I don't think so.
No, definitely not.
I mean, it's going to be a strange lapse in time because there was a long run, like trap hip hop, and like the Xanax hip hop, SoundCloud hip hop, like the Extentacions and all that. It was cool at the time, but it's not going to age well. And I really feel bad for those kids that grew up with that because they're not going to have anything to enjoy.
There'll be some disco remixes of all that stuff by the time they're ready, for sure.
On AI.
Yeah. Oh, man. Because, it's just really strange because I feel like when I was starting to DJ in the late 90s, early 2000s, disco was that 20-year gap, right? And it was now, what's the 20-year gap? Usher, yeah. And so that's what all these kids are listening to when I go play at college rager bars. Like that's all they want to hear is like the Black Eyed Peas and all that stuff. And so that's kind of like their disco to me and my relation, because like I'm 41 years old. I hate to admit that, but I've DJed for 25 years of my life, and I'm seeing the rinse and repeat twice now. Like what was cool once, I got tired of it. Now it's cool again. And realistically, though, when I was in let's say the 2010s, when like Firework came out, right? I was playing dubstep and electro. I wasn't really playing pop. So now that pop in its original form is cool, it's almost kind of new to me because I never really played it the first time around. but I know all the records. It's just cool. I can play the originals now.
I can relate to that so deeply, and the negative part of that for me is like when that stuff was coming out and I wasn't really playing it, I deemed it corny. I'm like, this is corny. I'll never play this. And now it's hard for me to play it because it's corny in my mind. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm having an identity crisis. Yep. But the reality is like, yeah, sure, I deemed it corny at one point, but I actually do enjoy playing it now because it's such a useful tool and it's so fun in those rooms and it's fun music. Most of it's really good. It's good. It's well produced. You know what I mean? Like good singers, all that. It's great. Justin Bieber, Baby. I'd never played that in my life. Now it's like my favorite song to play. It goes fucking absolutely
Well, let's face it, you're having
nuts.
a good time because they're having a good time.
Exactly.
So it's reflecting on you, that positive energy. Of course you're going to play the record. And you know, those records have proven themselves. I think if they've lasted for 10 years, they deserve to be in the catalog, right? Because there's a lot of one-hit wonders that didn't make it from that era too. Like there's a lot of artists I can't even think of anymore, but they had catchy jingles for 6 months on the radio, and they were heavily recycled. I mean, you did radio for how long? I mean, it's probably
10 years.
How many records do you see come and go? Like, what do you think the percentage of steadfast records are from when you were at the radio station?
I don't know exactly, but I remember I was getting probably 30 to 50 new records thrown at me every week, and you could probably choose 2 to play.
Oh yeah, so it's like what, 5% success rate.
Yeah.
And how many of those stuck? You know, there's the Kobe O'Donises, Paula Deandas, people that just kind of like they had a little spark and never stuck.
Yep. Wasn't it? There's songs that are popular because they're good, and there's songs that are popular because the record label wants them to be popular, right?
Sometimes those crash in together.
Yeah, they mix in, right?
Yeah, but time tests that, and like the Katy Perry's and the Miley Cyrus's. I mean, those are the ones that really made it. Yeah. Because not only they'd have one hit, they have a catalog. Yeah. And so obviously Taylor Swift. I mean, she's the shining star of that concept.
Right.
But it does feel goofy.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you play these records,
I like artists like that.
I love it. I don't care what you guys think. It was never corny. All right.
Yeah.
It was never corny. I just love pop music.
Yeah.
So I used to almost have that identity crisis, right, where I was like, oh man, everybody thinks this is super lame, but it's like I love pop music because I was more of a house guy. I grew up on Chicago house, which I love, and everybody like, why are you playing that? Why are you playing with Sexy Back? Like, why are you playing that? I love it. And as I got older, I didn't care as much, and it's like, no, I like corny shit. Obviously, you see this place, it's like I like pop culture. I love pop culture. I don't like it, so I was always kind of okay with it.
Well, so you started with techno growing up as a DJ. Like, I'm very much a pop. Ironically, I am sensitive to the corniness factor, but I grew up on radio music. I didn't I had a tiny radio station I listened to, Rick Dees and the Weekly Top 40, and I would just make my own mixtape.
That's the station I was at.
Yeah. So that's the only way I could consume music. Like, Coolio 1, 2, 3, 4. That was like some of the first hip hop I ever heard. And so what did you grow up on that before you even were a DJ? What was like your childhood impression of music?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, when I was a young boy, I was a big POD fan.
Okay, that places you in a category a little bit.
Youth of the Nation.
The Youth of the Nation was a big one for me.
That was a banger, bro.
that was my shit. But my brother had a huge influence on me, luckily, and he helped me to realize that I need to love hip hop and why I should love hip hop. And POD's cool, but check out this fucking Nas album.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget when he played me Memory Lane in his car in the parking lot of his apartment complex, and I heard that beat, and I was like, this is crazy. Yeah. Just like the crazy like bells, and I don't even know what instruments are in that sample that Primo used, but like insane. Primo, man. I was like, changed me forever.
That's an imprinted memory.
Changed me forever.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, did that change the way you started DJing though? So now we know where you transitioned from rock to hip hop. But did that affect you, or how did that affect you as a beginner DJ?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I only got into DJing through hip hop. I wanted to make beats. My brother rapped, and I played the drums when I was younger, and then I just really followed a lot of stuff that he did, but I didn't want to rap, so I was like, I like music, I like the drums, let me make beats, and I started there, And someone I was making beats for in Chicago, shouts to Scud One, he was like, hey man, my DJ just stopped DJing for me. I need a DJ for the shows. You should just grab one of those little controllers. Like, this is when controllers were brand new.
Oh yeah.
You should grab one of those and learn how to do it, and you can come DJ the shows with me. And I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So I did that. And then I really fell in love with DJing because I can do it so much better than I can make music. It was so much easier for me. And I'm learning now that like I pushed a lot of stuff away because it was hard. And like, if I would have stuck with the drums and like practiced, I'd be so much happier now, because I wish I could fucking play the drums. I love playing the drums now, and I want to get better at it. And I just think back to all these things that I pushed away because they were just hard, and I was like a pussy.
So, but what made you, DJing is hard. What made you stick with that? Like, what was the connection?
DJing is not hard at all. I just watched Cirque du Soleil last night, and let me tell you, DJing is not hard. No, I'm kidding.
I think some people have talents. Like some people are naturals, because
especially now.
Yeah, like that happened to me with video. Like I had a lot of things. Like I wanted to do music, and music was harder for me. But as soon as I got a camera in my hand, it just seemed like natural. It seemed normal. And then it wasn't until like I was putting videos out that people were like, "You're good at this." And I was like, okay, I'm just like having fun.
Yeah.
But they were like, I'm willing to pay you, because I've tried paying other people and they're not as good at this. And I was like, oh, okay, well, this feels normal and natural to me. And that's why I went that route. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe that's like what it was for you with DJing.
For sure.
Similar.
No, it felt easier for me. It felt like something I could grasp the concept of so much more than making music. I don't know. I am learning now that like what music even is, like how it works. Back then it just feels like I was just like throwing sounds together and had no real idea of what I was doing. But when I'm DJing, I can come up with a plan and execute it. I have a vision. I know what I'm doing, you know?
Oh yeah.
So it felt easier, and I stuck to that. And then like, yeah, I started to fall in love with it and really go for it once that clicked.
Yeah, it's like the difference between talent and skill, right? Like it might have been a natural talent at DJing, but then you still got to work on your skills to become better.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Because the creativity is there. It's just understanding the mechanics and the.
Right.
I always explain to people like that don't know anything about like remixing, for example. Yes, I'm working with a different song that I didn't make myself, but it's almost like scrapbooking, right? You're making.
Good way to put it.
You're clipping out things that you want to make a larger photograph, or like a tapestry or something. You know, it's going to paint a new picture using someone else's paints to create a new picture. And that's the easiest way I can explain it, because I didn't create the song, but I'm delivering a whole new way to make it palatable to a listener.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a entirely different skill in its place. So that really is what a DJ is. You're telling a story with other people's words, and it's how you digest that. You can do that in a million different ways, and we see that there's so many different styles. I always say there's different kung fu styles of DJing.
Yeah.
Because there's obviously more aggressive, MC based DJing, which I've actually started getting way more into, but there's so many great DJs that never talk on a microphone. They don't have to, but in my opinion, lately it seems like there's more of a demand for it and more of a need to lead a crowd, like to get people to stare at you instead of being on their phones.
Right.
So when you command attention, all of a sudden they go from looking in different directions to all looking at you. So having a microphone, being a master of ceremonies is a powerful skill. And then all of a sudden you are a show. You're not just delivering music anymore. You're not a jukebox, a human jukebox. You are a show. And having that well-rounded skill set is a crazy thing. Did you always MC or?
Never, not until I got to Houston. Houston made me do it. And,
See, that's awesome.
It was always terrifying to me. Like growing up, but coming up in the DJ scene for me in Chicago, nobody wanted you on the mic. To be honest, that was like some urban shit. And they were like, we don't do this here
that's
at
crazy,
the spots I was playing, you know? Like, we don't want that.
Yeah.
We don't want you on the mic. We don't want to hear you. So I never, ever, it was never a skill I developed. And I was always terrified of it.
Wow.
And then in Houston, they that's part of the way that they DJ out
Part
there.
of the show.
And
It's part of the
seeing them
culture.
do it,
Yeah.
seeing the way that they could get a room to do what they wanted through talking to them, I was like, I need to learn how to do this.
Yeah.
Now I can't DJ without a microphone. It's a problem.
Yeah, I feel neutered. I feel neutered when somebody tells me like there are still venues where like there's no microphone and we don't allow talking on the mic. I'm like, man, I feel like you just took away half my show.
Yeah.
Because like I literally have routines with my own edits on the microphone. Because I always say that like, editing made my job easier to be a showman. that's one of the things too, because it gave me like 8 arms. Because now all of a sudden, instead of having to worry about a loop control and, you know, juggling a pad and jumping from one thing to the next and making sure I got to cut out the acapella with stems or whatever, I can just, it's already done. I can focus on engaging with my crowd. So that's my biggest argument. Because I've gotten into squabbles with turntablists, and it's like, oh, look, ma, no hands. Yeah, it's like, cool. Well, guess what? I got people paying attention to me, and people have no idea what you're doing, and they're still dancing, but they have no appreciation necessarily for what you just did because they can't even see you. So, because I always tell people, if you book a turntablist, you should have a camera on the on the actual setup. Because, like, for example, like Qbert, you can book him, and he'll even tell you, I don't want to just DJ by myself. I'll DJ with your resident DJ, and I'll cut and I'll jam out with him. Because, you know, he knows where he wants to be in the mix. But then if you put a camera on him, it just changes the dynamic of the room. Like, wow, you have an alien in your club doing the coolest stuff. Right. So, like, that's why I always, like, it's crazy how I get frustrated with not only the crowd, but I also get frustrated with the artists when they don't set up technically how they're supposed to be conveying their own talents. Because the average layman person that just goes to dance doesn't realize if you're doing a drum routine with your MPC on top of your music, they don't know what's going on. You got to show them, especially if you're elevated on stage. They have no clue what's going on. So I feel like there really needs to be a deeper technical understanding of how these things go, and it may or may not work, but at least you can show them and you can visually see what's going on. I mean, I mean, do you go to see like those like live DJ events, or would you? I guess more as a consumer, do you appreciate that, or do you just like to go to enjoy the vibe, which is regular DJing? Does that change your opinion of like, oh, I really want to go somewhere because they're gonna do it live?
Like if Craze was DJing somewhere, would I want to go see him because I know he's gonna do some real
some
turntablist stuff?
Like, is that gonna change your trajectory of your nightlife experience?
It's not gonna change the average person's night. You know, they don't know what's really going on with the music. But yeah, I mean, I would enjoy watching that for sure.
Yeah,
I definitely love that. Like coming up in the hip hop scene, scratching. I mean, when I was making beats, I wanted to be able to scratch just because Primo was the best producer and he scratched. So that's something that I had been practicing years before I started DJing, and now it's an integral part of my style for sure, scratching.
Because I've been a music director too, and I'm actually really torn on that. I know this is a sensitive subject because there's a lot of talented guys I got mad respect for, but I really don't see the translation sometimes. I don't see the excitement around a talented DJ / producer live on stage that does a lot of these things. And it really is confusing because I'm seeing it from the artist standpoint, but then I look at it from a talent booker standpoint. I'm not seeing, because it costs more a lot of times to bring in an individual like that. They need extra tables, they need extra gear, they need extra time to set up and tear down. It can be a pain in the ass. And then you don't see the return. So it's like, it really concerns me, like, how do you sell that to the regular person that has no idea what the technical side is? And I'm just wondering, like, how do you manage that?
I always thought about that, like with like heavy metal. Those have like the most talented guitarists in the world, but it's like one of the lesser popular styles of music, and it's for a reason. It doesn't really matter how technically hard it is to do something.
It's not POD, bro.
It's not enjoyable for the audience to listen to. You know what I mean? Like,
you're gonna see an edit next week. DJ DeVille, Leave the Nation chant edit.
It's gonna be an OC Beats Afro House edit. Have you seen his stuff on Instagram?
No,
He does all he does is take like Creed songs. He just did the Friends theme song and made it an Afro House.
It's a joke.
It's a joke. Yeah, it's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I think I did see the Friends one.
They're gonna play it.
I did see the Friends one.
Yeah.
He releases them all with the kind music, like
I did see
crowds and shows. It's just so funny.
Does it make it fun to listen to? Now it's almost like there's kind of a comedic side to it. Like, it catches you off guard. You're like, oh, what?
I would want to play one of those in my set. Like, I would play the Friends one in my set just to laugh and like, fuck with the crowd a little bit.
Oh, yeah. And see, I feel like that actually makes a huge impact. That's what's going to, you're going to get that nostalgia. Mm-hmm. That to me is a more important factor than being extra on the turntables. Yeah. Because, like, how many times I heard when I first moved to Vegas, never scratch. Don't ever scratch in the club. We don't want to hear that. I heard that from numerous different people.
That's sad, bro.
But I'm thinking to myself, maybe you're just bad at scratching. Because it's like, if they keep telling somebody in particular not to scratch, well, maybe it's just them. But then I started going to clubs and I asked other people, and it's true. You can't scratch. You want to just keep a linear flow to your environment because it's really disruptive, especially in a Vegas nightclub, one of those larger ones with multiple rooms. It sounds completely terrible. So I do get it. It's just like adapting to your environment. But
I think there's a way to scratch where it's not so blatant. It's a little bit more subtle, but it adds so much to a transition or to an intro of a track or something like that. And if people catch on, it's just like it's like holding somebody's hand and taking them to where you want to go in that way, in the mix, but without making it so in their face. I mean, I definitely think there's a way to scratch in the club versus Qbert.
Right.
You know, like
it's supposed to be a tool in the toolbox.
Yeah.
A tool in the toolbox, being more like a piece of percussion on the track rather than taking over what's happening and being a showman.
Right.
I think that
because it's like equivalent of a drum solo. You know, you don't hear those very often on rock songs.
Right,
but
right.
it's when it's right, and that's the only time you should be done. So it's and now what you're seeing with all these new kids that are DJing, people are DJing with Spotify. So it's completely stripped down to just the song selection. I mean, literally track selectors is still falling under the category of being a DJ at this point. And it kind of goes the opposite way. So you have like the extra DJ, and then you have the minimalist. And then somehow we try to fit in between there somewhere and keep the art alive of it. Because I will say, like, having a controller with all those features built into such a simple, like, I actually prefer being on a controller. I don't know about you.
same, yeah.
But,
The SRT 1000, the DDJ.
yeah,
that is my
that's what I
favorite
have.
piece of
That's what I
equipment.
have, and I love it because you got all the MPC beat pads. You've got great jog wheels that are the same as a 3000, and it's still a flagship for your laptop. And then here I am. I'm trying to force myself to learn CDJ 3000s. That's like my new project, and I'm dreading it because I just don't want to learn new software, but I got to do it because like there's out here in Vegas, it's so hot. Sometimes you just got to show up with a USB stick in your headphones because that's all it's practical to do because your laptop's going to overheat at 120 degrees. So I got to learn something new, but it's just great where the practicality is finally evolved with all these things where it's still efficient but still have the features. So I think we are in a good place technologically. Hey, do you play on CDJs with sticks or are you strictly Serato?
I did a set at Almost Famous in Arizona on 4 CDJ 3000s, just stick. That was like an accomplishment for me. That was like a feat.
Yeah.
That was a big night for me. It went well enough to where I was like, all right, I could do this if I had to.
So do you mix by ear or are you actually doing the full key scans and the grid scans, or did you do the full record box analyzation?
Yeah, I put it in record box. I did all that
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah,
I hate
makes it
record
easier,
box.
right?
It's a piece of shit, by the way. But
Which one is it?
gotta
record
learn.
box.
Oh yeah, it's tough, man. I can't
sucks.
even figure it
I
out.
hate
That's
it.
part of my journey. I'm like, I don't know how this works.
Just in the simple fact of like, all right, let's say you're going to put cue points on your song and you want to mark every 32 beats, and you put your first one and then you put a 32 bar loop on to go quick jump, scroll it backwards so it goes to the next point you want to go to. That scrolling backwards is the most clunky,
It's confusing.
ass, like just how does Serato have it so perfectly and smooth, but record box it's
It's like a different language.
it's not smooth. It's grainy and it's just gross. And I'm like, what? How is this possible?
Well, even when you hit the cue points and they actually click back, it waits until the beat comes back and then it drops.
Well, with the
if you're-
quantize on.
Yeah, with the
Yeah,
quantize.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't even DJ because like I have to do the rub in
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
scratch,
yeah.
or I'll just do like a drum cue.
So I turn the
play.
quantize
So-
off the CDJ that I'm mixing into, but I put it on for the one I'm about to mix out of if I want to do a loop.
Oh, that's cool.
So I'm constantly turning quantize on and off.
Oh, see, that's something I got to learn. So
Yeah.
see, I got another tip.
Yeah.
Another
I
tip.
got another
There's
tip
another
I got to
one.
use.
Yeah, one
so
from
that's
Vice
great.
last week. Now you
Yeah.
get that strategy.
So I'm just
Front
collecting all the
strategy.
knowledge right now. That's good.
And a big part of being comfortable with that set for me was having the fourth, or really just the third CDJ, because I had all my my samples on it. It's called fucking Strategy, all right? Or Strategy. Like,
Yeah.
I use those so much when I'm DJing on my laptop, and they help. Like, prior to learning how to DJ on the mic, to me, that was my only way to keep up with people in Houston who were on the mic, because all that getting on the mic is doing is really signifying that there's a human being here trying to take you on a journey.
Yes.
Right.
So using those samples and people realizing that you're up there pressing buttons and shit,
Yep.
to me that helps with the mindset of the room and getting them all on the same page and drawing their attention to you.
Yes. I think you and I are on the same page with that because I want to let people know that there's a human being behind the music.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if it just, sometimes it sounds too perfect too. Like that's where you start to blur with the environment. When it's too perfect and it's just blended together and it almost sounds like a premix, which sometimes it is, especially with the festivals.
Yeah.
It's coming back to that earthiness because that's why people like to be on stage because they want to see what's going on. They want to be a part of the show. And I really think, like, what's your prediction? Like, just let's zoom out for a minute. Like, what is your 5-year prediction for nightlife? Because we are at a threshold. We are seeing the end of big room as it currently, or how it's been since 2009, the Swedish House Mafia, Avicii era. That is coming to a close to a point. It's always going to be around, but not in a mainstream way. What do you think is going to be mainstream in the next 5 years?
I think it's going to reset to like exclusivity, small rooms, dance floor, focus on fun, not necessarily about the money and bottle service. I mean, anyone who owns a club is obviously going to worry about their bottom line, you know what I mean? But I think everyone's just the bottle service is ingrained in their minds that that's the money maker, even though it's not anymore. Like at one point, people were spending $20,000 on a table regularly, like every weekend. That's just what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been so ingrained in everyone's mind that they're just like sell tables, but nobody's spending $20,000 anymore. In Vegas, sure, but in regular cities, no way. You're getting a $1,500 minimum. Like that's a pricey table now. It's $1,500.
Right.
And like, what the fuck is $1,500 in the grand scheme of the whole night to just cater to this stupid table?
Yeah.
I think it's like people are really realizing like, oh shit, let's get back to having a dance floor, ringing the bar up, creating an awesome environment where people desire to come to rather than like just be seen. And I think it's like small rooms and that. And then I think that will come to an end, and then it's going to restart the cycle. The rooms are going to get bigger, and then, Do
you think festivals are going to keep doing as well as they have been? Because that's the other duality of this, because we've been losing a lot of the crop of 21-year-olds that come in every year. We've been losing that over the last 3 to 4 years, I would say, maybe even like pre-COVID, where it used to be like people were excited to go get their first drink when they're 21. Now they're excited to go to the first festival. And we're losing that nightclub crop, right, that comes in. What do you think festivals are going to do, though? Because I feel like that's shifting, too.
I think, festivals are still huge and gonna lead the way, but like the pop-up parties and the pizza places and the coffee shops are just mini festivals, It's just the same vibe. It's like we're popping up somewhere and playing music, come hang out, and you can surround the stage and whatnot. Like, to me, that just feels like a mini festival.
It's impulsive too, right? Like there's a certain level of impulse and like almost like a flash mob kind of vibe, because like, hey, I was at this thing that you couldn't be at because it happened 5 hours ago and it's never going to happen again.
Like, you were at work, that sucks, dude. We just threw a party at the pizza shop.
And you can watch it on my stories though, because that's what it's about now. Because like I was at something you weren't at. It was an impulsive experience that will never happen again. And I think this, the Zoomer crowd, like the 16 to 21s, it's about that personal, bespoke experience that no one else can have, and it's like kind of a custom experience. So, I mean, you're operating the Yoast. You're dealing with some much younger crowd promoters as well. I actually met one of your promoters. He's a really cool guy, and he's really thinking outside the box. It's watching an individual think that's a guy that's 21 years old, and he's hungry. And he's just really operating on a different frequency. But I almost feel like there is a gap now. Like his mental frequency is so much different than mine.
Oh, very.
And it's crazy how he's thinking about marketing.
How so? Give me like a couple examples if you can off the top of your head.
He was just brainstorming with me. He was I met him at the Club Killers meetup in Anaheim, and it was just really interesting how he's utilizing his own friends as marketeers, but he's not employing them. They're helping him through natural behavior. So whether they're promoting the event or just supporting him, and then they're coming up with concepts like where they're using like it was like a pink Mustang. So they're getting eye-catching props in ways to disrupt the pattern, because that really is in marketing, it is called a pattern interrupt. So when you are able to break out of the norm and jump out at somebody with something different, that's literally what he's doing. And he's taking the time to get physical props and things that are going to really catch your attention while you're just doom scrolling. And because like we know flyers don't work anymore, right? Like normal
100%.
flyers. Yeah. So he knows this, and he's coming up with as many ways that he can get his friends' attention as possible, and he's successfully doing it with just his phone and some production.
Yeah. And it's like they're like 20-year-old kids. They're not even 21. Sorry, I got Butter's hair. They're 20-year-old kids, right? And they're doing their most successful parties at 2000s party. And I remember just walking up one day, and I was walking into the venue, and they're playing LMFAO. I'm in Miami, bitch, and I was like, what kind of throwback party is this?
It's their disco.
And it registered in my brain like, oh, dude, that's 2010. It's 2024.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh man, I'm old. I got one of those moments, and then I'm up on stage, right? And I was just like, everybody's singing along to the whole crowd, to like Hotel Service, Calle Ocho, Black Eyed Peas, Meet Me Halfway. Crowd's going crazy, right? Fantasy by Mariah Carey. Crowd's going crazy. Then I'm up on stage, and California Girls by Katy Perry's on, and this girl's like, oh my God, I love this song. My mom used to make pancakes for me on Sundays and play this whole album. And I was just like,
They got core memories to it.
oh my goodness. It's like, this is their oldies.
Yeah.
And these guys are just killing it. Shout out Dance Man and Josiah. Their company's called Invasion. And they just did an 80s one. Didn't go as well because I think it's a little too far for those
It's a
people.
little disconnected. I mean, that's
audience,
our
yeah.
It still did okay, but they're gonna. What I like about it is they're not scared, and it's
Yeah.
very difficult to find young men that aren't scared about what people think. They're not scared of failure, because I always say failure is the most important part of success.
Yeah.
You can't be scared of fail, and these kids are just going and going and going, and that's really special, man. It's difficult.
That's dope. That's good
awesome.
to hear. I like that. We need more 20 to 21-year-old people that are partying. They're all like smoking vapes and doing mushrooms in the forest now.
And I know I'm the diversity guest here, but I think it's more like the white culture, right? Like, especially having a venue at the Yost Theater that's in Santa Ana, it's like white people don't really go there because it's more like a Mexican area. So it's the Asians and the Latinos, right? And they both love to drink. So we're not seeing that dip compared to the South Orange County, Newport Beach venues. They're seeing the dip more.
Wait, so what do you think the young white kids are doing? They're just
Ketamine?
it's like a health conscious thing,
no,
or
they're
is
doing
it?
shrooms.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
none of
another
these kids
drug.
are actually.
And actually,
they're just
there's a
staying
health
home.
kick too.
I think-
That's why the coffee shops are
Yeah,
because
I think-
now they're into matcha green tea.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think they're having a lot of online interactions.
Yeah.
They're staying home. They're just not going out.
Yeah.
I
gaming
think
now.
they're a
They're
little.
gaming,
I think they're a little
Twitch,
nervous.
TikTok Live.
They're a
Yeah.
little nervous to interact.
Yeah.
They don't know
Yep.
what to do. Their parents ruled the world at one point, and now they're the white devil. So they're just trying to stay out of the way.
but you're actually dead on, because there is a lot of programming that you see.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden you do start to
You
feel
guys
like
had a good run.
We had
You
a good
white
run.
dudes had a good run.
We had it was a strong run
Still-
for
Yeah.
sure.
I still rather be a white guy. Right?
Oh my god.
if I'm in jail or if I get pulled over by a cop, I'd rather be a white
man.
guy.
You
Yeah.
just can't go to the club. That's all.
Yeah. Just,
But-
No, that's funny though. I see. I've never heard that before. I've never heard that like maybe in other cultures it's not that people are still partying just the
Yeah.
way that they were.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's also metro by metro, because we are seeing different activities. Because look at what's going on, and like you were talking about the COVID thing in Texas, same thing in Florida. I actually, in the middle of COVID, I was going up to Wisconsin to DJ, and there's actually a photo of me with everybody's hands in the air at a packed club, and I said I was just making sure everybody washed their hands.
Yeah.
Because it was literally one of the only places you could DJ that I knew of in all of the country because it was in the thick. It was like May of 2020. It was like you should not be DJing, and I was, because I just found a way to do it. And so if you look at, there's always going to be stressors in every city, and there's different waves of culture, different influences, different things that happen. I mean, I still think that Las Vegas, and that's why I love this city, is because it can be a looking glass into the past or the future, because it trades. Especially if you've been to the Arts District, Like, or even just downtown Fremont
Like
Street?
Fremont? No, not
that
this
is
trip.
that is the experimentation capital of nightlife, I feel like. Because you can see, I guess, like, you know, like the raver culture is picking up out there. There's a lot of great venues that are doing like festival style DJs out there.
Dubstep.
Yeah, dubstep.
Bass music. Yep.
It's really there's a ton of support for that. The restaurateur culture is huge. Experimental bars, concept bars. Like, I love Nerd Bar, for example. That's been there for a while. It's just cool. There's like a bowling alley, Nintendo games, and Breaking Bad memorabilia all over the place. So it's just, you can like see what works in such an eclectic place. And then I feel like it is kind of like an idea ground for other cities. Because, like, let's face it, like Tao nightclub set the trend for every other nightclub that we've seen over the last 20 years. You know, the bottle parades, they are pretty much the originators of that, as far as I'm aware.
Light,
And-
I think it was Light Group.
Yeah,
the
that-
original Light at Bellagio.
Oh, yeah,
that started bottle stores, but
Just, you know,
that's
just,
neither
you know,
here nor there.
but yeah, I mean, it's all here.
Yeah, it's all here.
So Vegas is kind of like the predicator for what's going to be trendy everywhere else. And I just love what Bottle Blonde does. You know, all these like come as you are type venues, because it's just comfortable. Pull up, you don't have to be in a fancy shirt. You can just be who you are. Spend a little bit of money, spend a lot of money, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Scottsdale, they spend money.
Yeah,
I've been at that
Scottsdale,
bottle.
yeah.
When I first went to Bottle Blonde in Scottsdale, I was like, oh, I love this concept. Because I hadn't really seen, you know, I forgot what year it was. Probably 10 years ago when I first saw the Bottle Blonde. I may be wrong, but I was just like, oh, this open air, it's fun. It's not like this whole mega club thing. I was like, this is the vibe. And then they just started opening around, and, you know, they're going to open here in Vegas. Was Houston like that, or how was the Houston? I know the Chicago one was kind of in. I remember I went to go see
was an
Strategy
indoor.
and Dolo show there.
Yeah.
One time.
Yeah, I was there too. Yeah.
They're
that was
all
wild.
they're all the same layout, but yeah, like the open airness of the Arizona one, we didn't have that in Chicago. They just had garage doors on that one side that they could open when it was nice.
Because they had a problem there with the residents, right? That's why it closed down.
Yeah, there was all sorts of different issues with the neighbors, but I think also just the space in Chicago is not the same as Arizona. You know, like you're in the bottom of like a big building in a big city with buildings everywhere. You can't build something with that open air thing because you don't even have those two sides to open it up either. It's just that front wall. But whatever. Yeah, the Houston one was a hybrid kind of. They had like an indoor patio thing. It was right on the street. The Houston one was weird. The Houston one was.
Houston's weird. It's
Houston
different. It's a
is-
different place.
Houston's different,
I think Houston's
but
just overcrowded. Every time I've been there, I go to like a restaurant. It's just like even if it's like a fast food place, like I go to Torchy's, the taco spot.
Yeah.
It's like you're waiting in line. I'm like, bro, and there's like 200 people in there. I'm like, what is
yeah.
going on?
Well,
Like, why are there so many people?
They move really slow there. I remember having to like get over my
Chopped and screwed.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's real. Like even in line at Chipotle, if I pulled up to a Chipotle when I first got there and there was 5 people in line, I'm like, all right, normal. I'll go wait for my Chipotle, and then I would end up waiting like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I
man.
started to learn, like, okay, if I pull up to a Chipotle, there's 5 people in line, I'm going somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's not like a fast-paced place. It was
Wow.
everyone's just like moseying around, and they're talking to each other, and they're just slow motion, like a little brain dead.
Yeah.
I'll say it.
No,
I'll
that's
say
all right.
it.
Yeah.
Well,
I felt
so
like
how does that
Florida.
change? How does that change your decision making? Because like, so as you bounce around from city to city, what do you do? Because like you said, you took that 1 month in Arizona. Did you do any homework as far as like what's going to pop off here versus like what you've been in your comfort zone in Chicago? You already know like the intricacies of the culture there, where you can surprise people with a track that you probably can't get away with in any other city. Was there anything that you found that you could do only in Scottsdale that is very different?
No, I was playing at mostly like these new kind of niche places. I played at a country spot, so I was playing all country stuff there. I played at 50 Shades, is a rotating themed place, and while I was there, they were doing a love theme for Valentine's Day. It was all love stuff, so I played a bunch of cool disco and love songs, and like I just matched the vibe of whatever room I was in. They opened a spot called Renaissance Cocktail Club. They wanted all 90s R&B and hip hop, so
Wow.
I had the crates for that. Like it's dope to go back to what something you said earlier of like being around for so long and having all these sets that you already did this and then it got old and now it's coming back to that. Yeah. It's fun to be like, oh, I could just go into this crate. Yeah. My stout crate from when I first started is like all the hot shit now. I could just go into that crate and relive everything I used to do and like pretend like I'm 21 again, you know?
And that's where I feel like being a veteran DJ has never been more valuable.
Yeah.
Because I think that I feel bad for the kids that are like 20, 21 years old that can't even get access to a lot of music, or you don't know what you don't know. And we've lived multiple generations because we were entertaining our parents with disco into 80s, into 90s. And we watched the whole hip hop club renaissance thing happen. Then big room EDM happened. Now like house is really a thing right now. House has always been a thing, but it's never been hotter. It seems like universally.
It's never sounded better.
Yeah, that's true. So true. So it's just, but think about it. We lived through all of those things, and it's all in our bag. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, I've never been more excited to be a mature veteran DJ. Yeah. Because I feel like stock value is through the roof right now because of those curveballs. Because like, I could not take any of those gigs if I was just a new DJ. Like, I know how to play house music from Beatport.
I've seen it. Like, I've seen it with my own eyes. And the majority of these young DJs, they have no depth in their crates.
Yeah. And it's scary. Hey, can you play one hip hop song in the middle? I don't know. Doesn't sequence on the grid.
Or they only know how to jump around with their hands up.
But I'm also now just realizing if like these classics are starting to come back, you'd have to have such a library of music that nowadays a lot of that music's protected. It might cost you a lot. So if you haven't been collecting over time, slowly, you know what I mean? Like, that might be too much to then now buy all those classics to put into your crate. And then what do? You download them off YouTube, or you download them off somewhere where you get this off quality or this, you know?
Yeah, it's true. Because like a lot of times, it's having access to record pools is obviously a great tool, but you still need to collect music on the spot sometimes. Like even if it's just a one-off record from the 80s, like a yacht rock song. Like sometimes you gotta buy it. You just gotta straight up buy it. That one song, and it gets expensive over the years. I mean, think about like back in the day, like with the Crooklyn Clan era, it was $4 a track, right? And that was expensive, and that was the only way you could get remixes for a long time. And then obviously record pools and evolution of everything that we've done. It's crazy that it's cool to get remixes, but sometimes it's just hard to get the regular song. Right. Yeah. It's easy to get remixes. That's what a juxtaposition.
Yeah. They're pushing for the streaming. They're going for the you will own nothing and you will be happy.
That's a strong statement. It is so true.
I know you asked me about the record pool thing. It's like all the labels they want to know what song every DJ in the country played. In the world, and they're going to.
So they know who they could go get their money from.
Yeah, so they can. Your Serato's going to link up.
Yep.
And that playlist is going to automatically upload.
They're going to come knocking on
That's
all of our doors one day with a list, and they're going to say, "Listen, you played this Drake song 1 million times over the last 10 years, and we've been checking. You've made this much money. You owe us this much because this Drake song has gotten you paid this many times."
That's kind of crazy if you would have had to paid for the original track. Because the only way you would have gotten that original track, you couldn't just take it off Spotify. You need to upload it into your Serato or your DJ system. So you would have paid for it originally. So DJs were probably like their number one customer for a long time because they were the ones actually buying the high quality music. For them to turn around and then be like, hey, now you owe us money for using that music you paid for. It's kind of bullshit.
But that's why there's the licensing from bars, like because they all pay for like a stream.
But the artists don't see none of that, dude. That all goes to the labels, but
and it's the nature of the business. But we are such an important promotional tool, and I feel like certain labels get it, certain labels don't, and that's just the nature of it right now. But one thing's for sure is DJs are never going away. It's just how it's delivered, how the music is delivered. And I was going to ask you too, like just speaking of music, what are your top 3 bangers right now? Like what new or old? What is hitting the hardest for you right now? New or old?
I might have to go get my laptop.
Fetty Wap.
I'm putting you on the spot right now. I know I always blank out. I get like DJ amnesia, but
so the answer to this question over the last like year and a half has been Pitbull Hotel Room. Obviously,
it's huge.
But I feel like I've said that so many times I have to switch up my answer now. What's something I always am like this will help.
Well, like what's something in Arizona that surprised you maybe? Like because you are a Chicago native, so when you went to somewhere completely different, like what jumped out at you? Like wow, this worked here.
I would have to say Red Hot Chili Peppers Under the Bridge, which I played as my last song, but I was very nervous to play it. It was on Mill, which is the college, Tempe. It's where all the ASU kids go. A bunch of young, not even 21-year-olds in there. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to play this and see if they know it. And they all fucking knew it, and it was awesome.
That's cool.
Dude, in Singapore, Conflict at Marquee Singapore played Under the Bridge. He has a sick routine for it too, but it went crazy. And I was like, what the hell? Red Hot Chili Peppers in Singapore?
How did that come back?
TikTok.
Because that song's from
I have no
1991. And,
It's a good song.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Youth of the Nation. Maybe they inspired that
you gotta put
chorus.
them on game.
I would never put them in the same boat. That's crazy. I don't co-sign that.
Oh, man.
I have a question for you. What are the DJs? How do I say this? Why are the DJs in Chicago so good?
I just had this conversation actually with someone on my podcast. Shouts to my boy Dre Wicked, but he claims that there's just a lot of pressure on us from the OGs, from the fact that house music came from there, and just there's a lot going on there. And what did he say? He said that like there's like no bullshit. All the fat's trimmed. You're running. You're quick mixing. You're giving the crowd exactly what they want. The exact part of the song that they want. You're not just playing an intro into the first part of it. If the hottest part of the song is the third verse, then you're mixing into the third verse. You're just doing that and giving the crowd exactly what they want, and then the crowd becomes what's the word I'm looking for? Entitled to like hearing the best parts of the song and the perfect transitions and the flow of the night. And to work in that city, you have to be able to provide them with what they're looking for.
Yeah,
amazing.
It is a privilege because
like a
it's
taste thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
I love that actually.
Taste.
Yeah.
The DJs have
No,
to
like,
rise to that.
To me, like Chicago and Miami have the best DJs, but in Chicago, just bouncing around little bars, just be like in some random arcade bar or cocktail lounge, and I'll be like, who is DJing right now? Obviously, there's the Metros and the Gordos and the OGs there that are great, but just so many DJs that are young, and I'm just like, wow, Chicago is coming with it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen. And, it's like I'm bouncing around all the major cities. Doesn't happen in Vegas. Doesn't happen in New York for sure. Miami, you see something. But I think you got it. You nailed it because it is the OGs, right? The older people that are in that city. But it's like, man, I could name.
Well, I grew up on Bad Boy Bill.
Yeah.
I can tell you that right now.
Man, no.
I was in Wisconsin, but I wasn't that far away.
What sold you on Bad Boy Bill? Was it the routine where he pulled his dick out and scratched?
Oh, yeah.
Because that was it for me.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was a hip hop guy. When I saw Bad Boy Bill's dick is when I really was sold.
Oh, man. See, that's See,
That's a clip.
I haven't seen that one.
Snap that one. Yeah.
Snap that one.
No,
Wow.
but it's honestly, it was the bang in the box that just changed the game for me.
You know what's crazy? I didn't know about that routine till like
1989.
But I was just I was like literally a Chicago fanatic. I just thought Chicago was like this amazing wonderland just because of like underground construction and IHR, which I think was kind of a little bit before your era, right? The late 90s of CZR, like the producers that were so dope, Rick Garcia, and then the DJ. It's like no other city can I name all the radio DJs, right? There's Eric Bam Bam, the regular Bam Bam, Mix and Mark, shout out Mark Stout, Bobby D. Who was the other guy? Jack Master Farley something.
Farley, yeah.
And it's just
There's a laundry
Jumpin'
list.
Perez.
Yeah.
No, I would buy the B96 Chicago. This is me as a 14-year-old in LA SoCal area, and I'm buying B96.
Yeah. 'Cause think about
That's
that.
so crazy.
That's a massive.
That is crazy.
That's a massive impact. Because
it's
it's
insane.
in the center of the country and it's reaching everywhere.
Man, shout out Chicago one time. No
Chicago.
wonder you had to go back.
Yeah,
You had to go back.
I mean, I think everyone should feel so strongly about the city that fucking raised them. If
Yeah.
you love yourself and what you do, you have to have love for the place that created you. I mean, listening
no
to
matter what city it is,
no matter
big
what
or
city
small.
it is. Yeah. I mean, listening to Chicago hip hop, listening to Juice, Tip of the Iceberg, there was not a song on that album where he didn't talk about Chicago in some way, and like just having so much pride for that city, and that is where I get it from for sure, is through the hip hop that I listen to. Mole Men and Juice and Matlock and all the underground shit.
Yeah.
Common, even the old shit, Resurrection, Can I Borrow a Dollar? Like, they all talk about Chicago so much, and it really made me so proud to be from that city. And like, it definitely plays into
If you
it.
think about how important Chicago is overall in music history when it comes to blues, and obviously why I started DJing was because of the Chicago house. And the Chicago hip hop. So there's so many different genres that stem from that city, right? Like, how amazing is that? And New York has, to me, I've always loved Chicago a little bit more than New York. I love you, New York, but I always love Chicago. So it's the energy's different. It's just special, the music, and I obviously the fairy tale in my own head of like, whoa, Chicago must be. And what's crazy, I still remember the Elk Grove Village address on the record because I would buy all those records. And I finally, when I was like 16-year-olds, I released a record for Underground Construction, and it was already gone. The label lost its juice, but I was like, oh my God, I finally got a release on Underground Construction. I was so happy. But yeah, it's crazy. Like Elk Grove Village, it's just a little suburb.
Just a random suburb.
Yeah.
Is there any emerging artists in Chicago that you're seeing, or is there any buzz around any new artists?
Propa, you guys know who
Propa's
Propa
killing
is,
it,
right?
Yeah,
He's
that
absolutely.
work, everybody's playing that work.
I can't wait to watch that kid just take over.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
He's so innovative with his sound design too. Because I'm just
What's
from
the
the
other one?
nerdy standpoint that I'm in, like his bass impacts that he uses, like on the drop downs, just those hollow bass tones that he uses, especially on the work. I love that sound. Like, I turn it up in my booth monitor just to hear the whoa. It's like a gong almost.
And
He's really innovative with his sound design. And here's the thing. He's really good with social media.
Yeah,
He's
that's what I was
connected.
about to say.
Yeah, and this is the big difference between just somebody that's good in a studio and somebody that's just good overall. And because him being a Swiss Army knife of being interactive, he's outgoing. He's not kind of like a dead mouse that's just like an angry, snarly producer that I'll do it because I have to. He embraces it, and he's really there, engaging with his crowd. And so he's not only connecting with the DJs that support him, but he's connecting with his fan base.
Yep.
And that's a huge skill set to have these days. So yeah, I'm very excited to see how he grows as how he matures. Because how long has he been a producer?
Wow,
A long time for sure. I mean, I was playing Propa edits and remixes 6-7 years ago. It had to be.
They were
And
kind of like housey bootlegs at the time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I had
weren't
no
as
idea
hard.
he was even from Chicago.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I found out he was from Chicago, and I hit him up like, yo, come do my podcast. And he told me that at one point he was a manager at Soundbar where I was DJing.
No
and he was
way.
like complimenting me on my DJing. And I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Whoa.
This is so ass backwards.
Wow. Small world, man. I mean, so I think he's definitely going to be, because I always consider it's like open format house, because that's where I like to stay, because I can't play like deep droning tech house all night. I got to have a connection point with a pop song that brings me into this. It's a very Vegas thing, especially. But that's what I personally like, because I'm a pop converted house DJ. So he really is in that sweet spot for me. But is there who else? Like, especially what
Jake
about like
Shore
rappers?
Jake Shore is obviously popping.
Well, Jake Shore, yeah.
I don't have a great pulse. I don't have a great sense of what's happening in the hip hop world of Chicago, which I was thinking about recently. I need to get more acquainted with it, because I'm about to start doing this project, I think, with Long Drink, and doing like a Chicago compilation with all
that'd
the
be
producers. And really only because I know there's so many dope house producers right now. Like even the Basura Boys.
That's my last name. Did you say Basura Boys? Oh, I was like, that's my last name. Hey, I never thought about that. Basura means trash. Basura means female cow, but calf.
My boy Steven Leone, who I had on the pod, my boy Control. There's just so many dope producers right now that I never even looked at before, because like, I think when I was in Chicago before I left for Houston, I had the horse blinders on. I didn't really care what anyone else was doing. I was so focused on myself, and like, it felt like if I was thinking about someone else too much, it's like comparisons, the thief of joy kind of thing. Like, it wasn't even from a hater standpoint, but it was just like, one track mind, like only think about yourself because you're going for success. And then I went to Houston and a whole bunch of shit changed in my life. But I realized that like there's a lot of dope artists in my city who I know. And I started like really listening to people's music, and it's so crazy impressive.
And I will say that, like, you know, I'm buddies with Heavy, for example. And
Heavy's a dope ass producer too.
But here's the cool thing is he's working with all these other dope producers. Like all you guys are really good at collaborating. I feel like there's a healthy non-hater culture amongst the DJs. Not only are you guys dope, but you guys don't hate each other. Because there's some toxic cities out there where nobody fucks with anybody.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of maybe what makes us great. It's hard for me to say that without feeling like an asshole or like a douchebag. But
no, you can be proud of it, man.
I think that's also a huge part of it.
I brought it up.
Is we all fucking love each other, and we all talk shit about each other for sure.
It's like a family.
But to each other.
Yeah.
And it's a good time.
Yeah, it's
that's why I
good
love
dysfunction.
the podcast.
Yeah.
So if you want to watch me and Heavy, you know, he's clowning on me for being a Jew. I'm clowning on him for being black. We're having the best time of our lives. That's my fucking boy.
Yeah.
It's love.
Yeah, absolutely. And and I think it's cool. And this is also something else is like we do bear a higher burden as multitasking DJs in this. Like we were talking about podcasting, like we're doing right now, making sure you're staying relevant on social media, being a dope DJ, downloading good music, and staying on top of that craft. And then amongst doing laundry, eating, going to the bathroom once in a while, having a relationship, whatever that looks like, you still, I guess what I'm getting at is you team lift it. When you actually collaborate with people, because like, you know, here at Club Killers, we're a team. We help each other, we team lift, and we get more done. Because we all have our specialties, we have overlapping skill sets, and we have individual skill sets. And we use that to our best of our ability, and that's what you guys are doing. Because I'll see like 3 guys I know on one record. Because you guys all put your efforts in on that. Because one guy might be great at drums, one guy might be really good at melodies, etc. And then you make just one amazing track together, and you're all getting featured on that track. So I love to see that. I mean, there's just, I think there needs, like, anybody that feels like they're alone, start reaching out to people. Like if there's somebody you admire as a producer or a DJ, start reaching out and networking. Because you know, we all only have 24 hours in a day. So if you can get more done working with your friend or somebody that you admire, it doesn't hurt to reach out. Really do that. I think that's a really important skill to have, is just not being afraid to reach out.
Get with like-minded people. Like in Houston, the No Good Boys, you guys know who No Good is?
I heard of them, yeah.
Bass music, absolutely crushing right now, blowing up on the internet. But they're both, before they really took off, they're both just local like club DJs, Mr. Ease and my boy Tanner Morgan. And I met them through DJing, whatever. And I went over to their studio. I listened to their music. They're also artists. They're working on like, at the time they were working on this big event where they were going to do an art show and release an album, and, you know, in collaboration with all these art pieces that they did. And I was just like, whatever's happening in this room, first of all, you guys are insanely talented, and this place is awesome. Can I come DJ in here, like, while you guys are painting? I just want to be a part of it. I just want to, awesome. I want to have a good time. I want to whatever. And they were like, yeah, come through. And like, that was the real first start of like our friendship and our bond. And like, it's just like, get with people who are doing cool shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of reminds me of like b-boys and graffiti artists working with DJs. That's been kind of like a combo culture from the get-go. And we're discovering new ways that can bubble to the surface with all these new artistic outlets that we have. And, you know, I just, even building this set, for example, it was utilizing skills and interests that, you know, my mom's a photographer. And I've always loved cameras. I just never got into it myself. But I do have a natural skill to know what a good frame looks like. But I just don't know how these cameras work. So, but I enjoy working with Kellen and Dirty Lou and Alex and designing these things and coming up with what looks good. And that's art. That's art in itself.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's just a new. I feel like podcasting is it's broadcasting. So it's all kind of funny how it kind of comes back to, because we're not listening to a terrestrial radio anymore. This is the new broadcasting. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited to see how this future takes us. Because obviously, I mean, how many episodes in are you?
I've done 190 episodes on the regular channel and like 80 something on the Patreon.
Wow. And tell everybody what your Patreon is for your podcast.
Yeah, patreon.com/partywithstrategy. There's so much content on there from over the years, which is how I want it. And I feel like I'm just now honing in to the actual episodes that I'm enjoying releasing and thinking that is actually worth, subscribing to someone's Patreon for. It's taken me 90 episodes almost to like get there, but I knew just through doing it is what's going to get me there. So now we're doing solo pods. It's just me and then Diamond Cuts producing behind the camera. And I'm kind of like recapping last week's podcast and the weekend I had DJing and talking a bunch of shit. And like, it's really fun. Been fun for me doing
what has been the highlighted benefit of podcasting for you?
The first most important thing, the thing that's helped the most, is the content that comes from it. The clippable things that I get to put on my Instagram. I mean, millions of views on there. My podcast will get anywhere from 200 to 500 views on YouTube, and then a couple hundred views on Apple, listens on Apple, listens on Spotify. In the grand scheme of things, it's not numbers that are revolutionary or anyone's looking at and being like, holy shit, we got to pay this guy to promote our thing. But like, first of all, it's based in Chicago. It's really niche to Chicago. So like, if you have a product in Chicago or a place in Chicago or something like that, it's useful for that. It's cool for that. But the biggest thing has been the clips, because something goes viral, gets 500,000
we
views.
did a couple collabs just in the last month, and two of them hit, like, you're about to hit 500,000 on the one we just recently did.
Yeah.
And so it's, let's face it, we live in a super short like attention span of a world that we're in. So the long form content, it's great. Like, shout out to anybody that is down to ride for an hours long podcast. Guys like Joe Rogan, who have been doing episodes for God knows how long now. But the numbers show it. Like, it's even though they're larger numbers, the ratios are about the same, right? Like, you have to do the long form to get the short form. It's just a necessary thing.
Yeah.
And you never know also, like, when you start feeling comfortable, now how many podcasts did you say that you've done?
Over 200.
And where would you say that you started becoming good at it?
I've really felt like I've found a lane and a flow maybe over the last 6 months to maybe a year, probably.
Wow.
Okay. Because it's like going to the gym, right? You got to keep pumping the reps.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I mean, even before the podcast that it is now, the Party with Strategy podcast, me and Dolo were doing the Strategy and Dolo show. Mm-hmm. We did a show with you guys, the Strategy and Dolo show, in collaboration with Club Killers. That was a little bit of a different thing. It's been an evolving, ever-changing thing, but I just know that I really love getting in front of a camera and talking shit.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
I love to talk shit.
Yeah, well, it's a great outlet, right? Because my biggest problem I've had over the years is sometimes I get isolated and I don't talk about any of my DJ issues with anybody else. And this is a really great way to vent and understand that you're not alone. Like, the same thing happened with Vice. Is like, we were talking about the DJing and drinking, and you realize that there are some congruencies in behaviorisms, and all of a sudden you realize it's relatable, and I don't feel horrible about myself anymore. It's just something that happens in the human condition when you go through a particular route in life, and when you can share that and get the steam out and just explain what a problem is, it's great. And broadcasting and just talking is a great way to get that out there. So this is a form of therapy, and anybody that's listening to it is getting therapy from it as well, because they're listening to our relatable experiences and hopefully getting some value from it. And that's what this is all about. So I'm really because I've been hiding in my studio as DJ DeVille, the editor and remixer and producer, but I'm really excited to connect with guys like you and work with guys like you, and it's amazing because we all have different experiences and we all kind of throw it on the table and talk about it. So I mean, I really genuinely hopefully as we move on, we continue to be a guest on the show. But before we wrap up too, I just want to see what are you planning on doing here in Las Vegas? While you're here,
let me pee real quick and then I'll just come back and answer that.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah,
where's the bathroom at?
Right here, and then the flush is on the little controller.
Oh damn, you got one.
Yeah,
of
it's
the
a special
Japanese
toilet.
joints?
Yep.
Yeah.
That Toto shit.
Yep.
That
and then make sure you hit the 3 button.
The 3
button flusher at the end.
I know.
No one
I
sees
was
a
gonna
word
say, I
better.
think there's power in like saying something out loud.
Yeah,
and
it
then
really
saying
is.
it out loud when it's recorded and broadcasted and
Yeah.
maybe going to be put online forever. There's even more power.
Because there's power in the vulnerability.
Yeah, getting
Yeah.
out of your own head is so important. And like what he said earlier was, you know, oh man, when things got hard, he would quit.
Yeah.
And so many people
Yeah.
do that, especially DJs, right? And,
yeah.
and it's like, it's when the podcast gets difficult or when nobody was paying attention, he kept going.
Yeah. But there's also
That's the biggest difference. And
Right,
so
right.
many people know who he is now.
Yeah, but I'm also glad I know
Yeah.
that long forms don't get the plays the
Oh,
way
no, no.
short forms do.
Yeah.
Because if I just went into this thing, I'm going to get 100,000 plays on a
No,
on a
no,
podcast. It's not going to work like that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just disproportionately. Not everyone has a whole hour to listen to.
you need
so they just want
100
to hear the
episodes.
bangers. They just
You
want to
need
hear those
100.
little snips.
Well, it's like for me
100
when I
episodes.
first started Twitch streaming, a lot of it was so that I could be better at talking on camera. It was
Yeah.
a comfort thing. It was like, you know what? I might not have a lot of people watching me live every time I go live, but I'm live and then I'm forced to entertain and talk and keep talking and talking directly to the camera. You don't know who's behind it watching. You know what I mean?
Even when you see it here, like when people come and sit down and they sit down and they're actually like nervous.
Yeah.
They sit
Yeah.
down and they're nervous, but that's why it's so important to do all the reps.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
just to unpack because it's still like getting into my linear flow. But okay, he's back.
All right,
so,
hold on.
all right, so-
Hold on. Before we wrap up, hold that thought.
Yep.
The bangers. Okay, and it's talking about all those views, right? Okay, real quick. Top 3. What was it? Hold on. What? Top 3 white songs for black people. What are the top 3? I feel like you guys cut us off.
Absolutely, Vanessa Carlton, 1,000 Miles.
Okay, that was on there.
That's up there.
That is
for
wild
sure.
to me.
Making my way down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? That's for white girls. From white girls.
It's
That's
from
why.
White Girls, and then
Oh,
also
man.
Skinbone, who I don't know if you know who that is. If you saw him, you probably would.
Yeah.
He's from Chicago. He did a remix of it, Making My Way Through the Hood, and it's like a Grand Theft
Yeah,
Auto thing.
I've
Like,
heard that. It's
that
viral.
fucking blew up like on Black Twitter, you know. So
Yeah.
like I think that adds to it too.
Interesting.
It's funny.
Miley Cyrus Party in the USA was big.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah.
And I think Shake That by Metro Station was
Wow.
another insanely like
Panic at the Disco.
Yep.
Panic
Yeah.
at the Disco one's huge. Okay, so better question. 3 Latino songs for white people.
man. All right. I'll always say Nicky Jam X is for me personally. That's my favorite
Which one?
song ever. Nicky Jam
Oh,
X.
X. Perdón.
Keys.
I never heard anybody call it X. But
What the hell is X?
it means X in Spanish.
It's just X.
Yeah, but
Keys.
it's X. It's
That's
X.
hilarious.
If you're,
That sounds like a
Spanish
breakfast,
is my first
a
language.
breakfast item.
Hey, now
Dos Keys.
no, Dos Equis, right? The beer, Dos Equis. You don't say
Yeah,
dos,
okay,
dos, you
two
don't say
X's.
2X.
Okay, yes,
right?
yes,
So
yes,
it's
yes.
because in my, Spanish is my first language,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
like I see it and I go Equis.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, opposite for me. I saw it and just went X. And I never even realized Dos Equis is 2 X's.
Yeah, I never realized that either.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm with you
See,
on
that's
that.
why I have the
Holy
diversity
shit.
guest right here.
See, I
Learning
got
a lot
diversity hire for 10 years, so I picked up the Spanish a long time ago.
Okay.
Um,
Next.
Don't say gasolina.
Bad
You're not allowed to say
Bunny.
gasolina.
Bad Bunny, Cayocho.
Yeah.
Bad Bunny doesn't have
Not
a song called
Cayocho.
Cayocho.
No, that's the Pitbull song.
You're looking real white right now, bro.
Cayarito.
No,
You're looking
Calladita.
more white now.
What is it?
Calladita.
Cayarita.
Well, do you know what that means? Or
No.
it means like she's a little quiet.
Okay. Because, someone told me the song is
Yeah.
like about getting a girl to
It's like a
party
shy
little
girl
bit.
that comes out as she's, a little more drinking and sexually active.
Yeah.
Okay.
That and these are just for me. These are my favorite ones to
All
play.
right.
What else do I like? Baila, baila, baila. Na, na, na. I think
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just called
Ozuna.
Baila.
That's
Osuna, yeah. That's,
Right?
yeah.
Those are the
Alright.
big 3 for
Right.
me.
You didn't say gasolina, so good. All right.
Yeah.
Gasolina is a white person song. I
Now
feel
it
like.
is, yes.
They don't even. Yeah. It's
Alright,
not
At
even,
this point, it's the get low of the Latin music world.
Yeah.
At this point, you can just link those together. They sound tonally the same
Yeah.
to me.
Now we got to test the token white guy of Club Killers.
That's what I'm here for.
Top 3 Latin songs for white people.
I mean, yeah, because I have to immediately X out Gasolina because it's to me that's a crossover pop song at this point. Any song that's I'm gonna say "Hips Don't Lie."
Is that Spanish?
It's like Despacito. It's like it's
Well,
Bieber, but it's not Spanish.
I know it's controversial because it's more
pop.
pop, but there's
songs in Spanish.
Yeah,
so,
and Shakira. Shakira. So it's the
Exile,
number one
good
most
thing
played song in my Serato.
Exile would be pissed right now. Just kidding.
Oh, no, but
he's usually here.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say I'm blanking on the song, the Bad Bunny, the one we did the Zolosa intro. You did the horn intro. It was just last year. I'm totally blanking out right now. I'm getting DJ amnesia. All of it. Like I hate that when I get put on the spot. I blank out. It was the biggest song of the last album.
Titi me preguntó.
Yeah, Titi me pregunto. Yeah, so
that's a good one.
Definitely that goes off anywhere because I just played that at Show Bar and that's all college white kids. Banger every time. It goes off.
That's
heavy.
one of my favorite songs to play because you can just scratch in Bad Bunny's. You could cut that like from any tempo. I'll start cutting that in and I'll just do my own like scratch transition with it.
One more.
Okay, so man, my DJ amnesia is kicking it hard right now because it's like I need my laptop, right?
Yeah,
because like if I
crates.
because it's Don Omar.
Don Omar, wow.
Because there's a
Salió el Sol. There's Salió el Sol.
Because like it's funny is because I DJ'd at the #1 reggaeton night in Orlando back in like 2009, and that's where I learned reggaeton, and I was like during one of the most important breakout periods for reggaeton.
2009?
Yeah.
I felt like that shit started coming around. I started seeing it in like late, like 2000.
05 is
16.
05.
That's the Mi Gente era. That's the
yeah.
That's the Ekis. That's that era.
That's
we're
when it
talking,
like started taking over my sets and shit.
I DJ'd at a place called Firestone, and I was I have a lot of great gratitude for the fact they put a skinny white guy at the #1 Latin night in the hip hop room and trusted me with it. So visually I didn't belong to either one of those genres, but they let me do it, and I already had the hip hop dialed in heavy, but then I started to listen to the other DJs that were there. I'd start infusing reggaeton into my hip hop, and this is like when like the Busta Rhyme, Touch It, and all that stuff was really like the really good golden era club hip hop. So reggaeton actually fit really well into that, because like a lot of those tracks you could acapella out and switch the vibes, and that really gave me the skill set that I needed going into. I didn't realize how prominent it was going to be everywhere because that was kind of like one of the heavy like Miami, Orlando area, because that was like when Gucci Mane was blowing up on the hip hop side too with the mixtape.
What a time to be alive.
Oh yeah, it was amazing fusion era for me. So that programmed my brain for my professional era of DJing. It was awesome, but I guess I'm blanking out completely.
Oye Mi Canto is a good one too.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Oye Mi Canto, that's
Noriega with Nina Sky. Yeah, that was
that
was like
super
one of the first
pop
hits before
crossover.
Gasolina.
That was very good stuff. I mean, it was all good. So I mean, anything
I can't believe
from
you guys
that
didn't say
era.
Suavemente. Suavemente.
You know what's so funny? I didn't learn about that song until way later in my
Yeah,
career
that song kills it.
because I
But
didn't know
it's
about that
merengue,
song.
so you can't really put it in open format set. It has to be
Because I
kinda
could
like
never
a Latin
fathom
thing.
playing
Yeah.
it.
I play the Kennedy Jones VIP trap remix of it
Really?
every time, and
Really?
it's still like it's that
Doesn't
it's
go
that.
off.
It goes hard, even though it's that like old, EDM trap 2015, 16 sound.
The stuttery,
which
stop
doesn't
chops.
really hold up now, but there is a few tracks that do, and that's one of them.
No, that's great.
It's interesting. And I have one last question for you. How different is the mindset of DJs don't cheat in love strategy compared to send nudes single strategy?
The mindset's not very different because my mindset has always been do whatever the fuck you want. And that's how I've gotten anywhere in life, is just doing what I wanted, but the things that I wanted have changed. So my mindset's not very different, but my desires are.
I love that. That's some
that's
grown man
bars,
talk.
bro.
Grown man talk. I love it.
Yeah. So I mean, and also too, like as you grow, your goals are obviously going to change, right?
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing about the evolution, because you can look back at 10 years ago strategy, and that's a chapter in the book.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be who you are without that chapter.
For sure.
But if you stayed in that chapter, you get stagnant. So just like clubs and nightlife need to evolve, we do too.
Yeah.
You really see, I saw this in Arizona and like in Chicago, I see it all the time. And when people are stuck in the same exact thing that they've been doing year after year after year, and they're looking unhealthy and they're getting older, and like you can see that there's no real personal growth in them. It hurts them a lot in the way that people view them, you know, like I think a lot of people are scared to change because they feel like what they've built thus far is the only thing that's gotten them there, but that's not really it. You have to change, and people have to see you doing something different and doing it well to really even give you more respect and more opportunity or whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Know? And this is coming from a guy that I met at spring break, Puerto Vallarta, and on his balcony, he had a banner that said "Send nudes" with his Instagram. I believe it's your Instagram, right?
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, and look at how.
Did you send nudes to the Instagram?
I did. I didn't get a reply. I didn't get a reply.
I still got him.
Yeah, he could at least reply. My ego's still a little hurt, but I'm proud of you, man. Look at this amazing grown man he's become.
I even like the fact that I have a girlfriend that I love, and I put that out there. I feel like that has raised my stock so much in even unfortunately with women that I couldn't even get with back in the day. Now they're interested. I'm domesticatable or whatever the fuck it is. But that's not even it. Like even that's one piece, but it plays into everything else. Like even places that I've wanted to DJ or just whatever. It's a part of my success for sure. And it was scary to think that like leaving anything from that era behind was like, oh, what the fuck am I going to do? Like I didn't make it.
Yeah.
If I don't ride this thing out, if I abandon this, it's going to look like I didn't make it.
Yeah.
But you have to jump on the next thing that's going to take you to the next level.
And it depends too in whose eyes, right? That's another thing that I think DJs have that ego problem with, like, okay, who's looking? Oh, they're going to think this, they're going to think that. And it's like, who really matters and who's looking? Like,
who are you catering to also?
For sure.
And, but to be the devil's advocate, a year goes by really fast as a DJ because you think about you're booking out gigs, you're working hard to book gigs 3, 4, sometimes a whole year out. And then you're looking forward to those gigs all year. And all of a sudden, bam, that year's gone. So even though you may not have evolved, you worked your ass off. And that's what can be really frustrating as a DJ. I deal with that all the time. Time management, multitasking, doing different things, prioritizing, and shifting gears all at the same time. That's a really challenging subject to deal with. And it is officially a DJ requirement. If you want to be successful in this environment that we live in right now and moving forward into the future, multitasking is super required. So I think it's really cool to see who's good at it and who's not, because it's leaving a lot of people behind. Let's face it. There's a lot of people that are really amazing DJs that are not adapting to what's required in addition to that, and it's filtering out the next generation of success for the next wave of DJs, veterans or beginners.
Yeah,
well said.
I don't know. The last thing I said, I don't know if I really explained myself correctly, but I can give you an example of what makes it make sense. Is like this year for New Year's Eve, I DJ'd in Cabo for White Shadow's party, who he had Lizzo headlining, and I went on after Lizzo and fucking did the night, which is insane. And it was at this. I don't even know what it's called. It's so far out of anything I've ever seen in my life. I don't make enough money to even be on the street in front of wherever this place is.
Oh, man.
Like Jimmy Iovine's got a crib there. Peyton Manning was at the party that I DJ'd at.
Wow.
Like the Chiefs owner's daughter, that Grace something.
What
She's
city
famous
was
on
this?
Instagram.
Oh,
in Cabo, yeah.
Wow, okay.
And it's White Shadow's party that he's been throwing for like 10 plus years. And I can tell you right now, there's not a chance in hell I would have ever been able to DJ that party if I was still like the send nudes guy trying to run around and like fuck these famous people's daughters. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't be allowed anywhere near there. So like it's just the elevation of me is allowing me to then elevate or play these elevated gigs that I would have never have gotten before.
It's a marvelous pivot, man. and we're proud of you, and I'm happy to see it.
I appreciate it.
I'm excited to see where your podcast continues to go as well, because it's like it's just great to share the conversation and the skill sets. Now that we're on this journey too, and we love sharing your content, and it's learning from it. And you've really, like I said, put in the reps, and it's very inspiring. So it's like me sinking my toes into this a little bit it's a daunting task, but so far it's been really fun, and it's just awesome to have you on here to share all these things. So thank you so much for coming out to Las Vegas and rocking with us. And before we close out, because I know we got to let you go, but like what are your plans for Las Vegas? What are you looking for while you're here?
Okay, well, let me say thank you first of all, because you said some very nice things. I appreciate that. And you guys have always supported me and Dolo ever since
Dolo. We love you, Dolo.
Ever since that Cabo, or it was Puerto Vallarta. That's right. You guys were always took a liking to us and helped us out, and so we definitely appreciate that. Thank you. My plans for Vegas: we saw Cirque du Soleil.
Which show did you see? I just saw actually.
I didn't buy the tickets. My
What casino
girlfriend
was
did. It was at MGM in the Ka Theater.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
Ka.
Ka. You saw Ka.
Yeah, that's
Ka.
my favorite one.
Okay.
Actually. I've seen that twice.
So sick, dude.
Yeah.
Unreal, the performance. Even these dudes were doing shadow puppets, which you've seen. Yeah. That was like almost the most impressive thing. Because everyone does shadow puppets. You know what it takes.
Yeah.
And they were doing just like the most mind-blowing shadow puppets I've ever seen. It was insane. And like the girl twirling the batons. I'm sitting there thinking like, all I do is sit on my own podcast and complain about how hard it is to be a DJ. This fucking woman is throwing batons in the air and spinning this other one and having her own body control, and she's matching the speed of the spinning baton in the air with her own speed and left hand, and like catching it was just like, what am I doing? That's why I said that comment earlier.
And she probably wants to be a DJ.
Yeah, probably. Exactly.
Well, if you have time, go see Absinthe. I would recommend Absinthe. That's Caesar's Palace. It's out in a tent. It's kind of a little bit of some circus shit, but with comedy.
Okay.
Raunchy comedy.
Yeah,
You'll
that's definitely, you'll enjoy that.
I appreciate it.
So. I don't, maybe we'll do that, but I want to check out Pinky Ring for sure.
Yeah, Pinky Ring's a must.
I'm going to go see Spider at Tao on Thursday.
Nice.
I just saw that he's going to be here. That's going to be fun.
Great guy.
Cool.
We leave Friday, and other than that, I'm just trying to, do the same as everyone in Vegas. Go home rich.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we sign out, make sure let everybody know once again what are the platforms you're rocking on so they can check you out, and then we'll let you get rocking.
Yeah, all my stuff is Party with Strategy, like Instagram. I think Twitter's Party with Strat. The Party with Strategy podcast on YouTube is youtube.com/Party with Strategy. You can find it on Spotify as well to listen, Apple as well, and patreon.com/Party with Strategy for all of the bonus podcast content. But I'll be honest, we talked a lot about the send nude stuff. There's some of that up there.
Oh,
I had the Patreon originally for that.
That's right.
And when I was redoing the Patreon, I talked to my girl. I was like, I'll delete all this stuff, but some people want to pay to see it. And she was like, if people want to pay to see it, you could leave it up. I was like,
you take me to Absinthe with that money.
Yeah, that's right. So that's great, man. Well, once again, thank you so much for coming on. Late Night Legends right here with us, Club Killers, and Party with Strategy. Once again, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. This is dope.
And hopefully we'll have you again soon. So,
let me know.
Thanks a lot, man.
I'm sleeping here, actually.
We got an extra room, bro. We got an extra room.
Yeah, what am I doing at the Palms, bro? That place is a piece of shit compared to this.
Late Night Legends. Late Night Legends. Direct from Vegas, it's the Late Night Legends. Late Night Legends. Late Night Legends. Club Killers, let's go.